afternoon. It's Thursday, October 16th. I am Bruce Leonard, and this is Bruce Leonard Leans Left. While it's still legal. Still legal today, but Trump's on the warpath again. Blowing up boats in Venezuela and indicting his enemies. Today is John Bolton. To go down, John Bolton. What's up, Costello? John Bolton is down, indicted. For stuff you put in a book that a judge okayed. I don't think these cases are going to go anywhere. I think my beard's all fucked up as I was taking a nap. Anyway. It's very clear that he just has this chick just throwing shit against the wall to harass these people who have criticized Donald Trump. The judge okayed the book before it was published. It was published. If there was top secret classified information in the book, the judge would not have allowed it to be published. Period. So why we're revisiting things after Trump says witch hunt. You know what the witch hunt is? All this. This is what a witch hunt really looks like. Is a guy like just making up shit to throw people he doesn't like. He's not going to get to throw him in jail because these cases aren't going anywhere. The two cases in Virginia will probably likely not even get to trial because this chick was clearly illegally appointed attorney. She doesn't have any real authority. And that's going to be the first, that's the first defense that they're putting up. Well, one of them is that she's illegally appointed. So these indictments, she's the only one to sign these indictments. They couldn't get any other prosecutors in the Justice Department to sign these indictments because they're bullshit. So the only signature on the indictment is the chick that he illegally appointed. Then the indictments themselves are null and void. They're worthless. And like they said, grand jury can indict anybody on anything. Like, what's the old saying they used to use? A grand jury can indict a ham sandwich, right? And in Comey's case, they decided not to even indict the ham sandwich because they wouldn't indict him on all the counts because they're bullshit. And almost everything, ironically, that they've been charged with is things that Trump was charged with himself. It's clearly revenge. And it just happens to be following the playbook that he put in that True Social post that was supposed to be a private message, but he's too fucking stupid to operate a messenger. So he posted it publicly. That's going to get these cases thrown out too. I mean, they're named by name. All of these people. He said, we need to indict these people. This person, Letitia James Comey, John Bolton, Adam Schiff. They haven't got to Adam Schiff yet, but they're going to. It's unbelievable. Meanwhile, remember, everybody said I was crazy for saying that, I don't know. Don't know. One-man clash. Perhaps I should buy better equipment. I think it's not the camera. I think it's the lights. I don't have very good lighting. I got a light that's in front of me, but it's not terribly bright. When I turn it off, the camera it's not bright enough, so the camera goes in and out of focus. So I turn on this fluorescent light above me, and it gives the yellowish hue of fluorescent lighting. And I believe that's why the camera's bad. I don't think the camera's bad at all. Yes, yellow, orange, card a theme. Exactly. Really? Maybe you should go to jail for that. I'm glad you came with some intellectual commentary there, Big Daddy Fart. Well, the trolls are coming out. That means that the show is effective. Huh. Either way, these people are all on the list that he posted publicly. So it's the case for selective prosecution. It's pretty open and closed. I don't know if you know how the courts work or the law. You're in jail right now. You watch YouTube in jail? Is that what you're in jail for? Fucking around with your autistic neighbor. Perhaps that's where you should be. Anyway, what is Uncle Tom about? What does that mean? What do you want to know about? What about it? Anyway, the point being, when you release a list of people that you want to have prosecuted, and then you start to prosecute these people, it's pretty evident that you picked these people, which is called selective prosecution. These people are not very smart. That's why I say, like, they're Nazis, but they're dumb. So they're like very stupid Nazis. But they are effective. I will give you that. Right? I don't know. I haven't been there for a long time, bro. I think last time I was in jail, I didn't even have a cell phone. Because I haven't been there very often. Well, that's not true. I was in the 90s. I went to jail in Florida. And they had phones. Look at this clown. Yes, you are looking. So, thank you. Anyway, so the trolls are out. That mean, like I said, that means that the show is effective. Like, because I've been doing this show unseen for quite a while. Nobody cared. All of a sudden, people started caring. Here you are. So that means that the show is getting traction. So thank you. I appreciate it. Anyway, like I said, I'm not here to teach a law course or anything, but I'm saying the case for selective prosecution is pretty open and closed when you publicly disclose a list of people that you want to have prosecuted, and then they start getting indicted. He's not a very smart guy, is what I'm saying. He's kind of dumb, and that's why a lot of people like him, because they're kind of dumb too. You know, like this country's not known for being incredibly smart, culturally anyway. And of course, there are smart people in this country, like there are smart people in every country. But we're way, way over the cliff of stupidity in this country. It's like what just happened with the. I don't know if you heard about this, but the young Republicans, right? They call themselves the Young Republicans. Had a bunch of signal chats. They've been talking to each other for quite a while. And I said that before. That's one thing that the right does have over the left is organization. They're way more organized, and so therefore they communicate with each other. And the signal chats is this bunch of just what you would expect from young Republicans. Who, I don't know if you understand this, but young Republicans, right? If they're young, all they've really known, if they're truly young, we'll get to that in a minute because they're not really truly that young, but if they were young, the only Republicanism they know is Trumpism, right? They weren't around for the your grandfather's or your father's Republican Party. It was kind of sensible. No, all they know about are these Nazis and the authoritarian urges of Trumpism, right? That's all they know. So they're groomed. They're young, groomed Nazis. And what were they talking about in this signal chat? Nazi shit. About how they hate Jews and how gas chambers were okay and how Hitler was all right and how they want to kill everybody that they don't like. They're fucking Nazis, bro. So rather than just condemn what they said, see, they can't do that because they're Nazis too. So, hipster Nazi J.D. Vance goes on, of course, as what he always does, goes on his press, tour to. You're all right, Julia. You missed all the trolls. There was a bunch of them in the beginning. Anyway, which like I told them, the trolls mean that the show is actually working. It took a while, but now I'm getting some traction. And I said, the last 3 episodes, I didn't even promote them, and there are over 100 something views just on YouTube. So somebody's watching, and I said I think I cracked into the algorithm of YouTube, and it's suggesting now to people that they watch the show. So anyway, so hipster Nazi J.D. Vance goes on his press junket that he always does when he wants to fucking spew some bullshit, and he says, oh well, these young kids, they shouldn't be held responsible. What young kids do is they tell bad jokes. These are jokes, he says, right? Gas of Jews is a joke now. See, that's all I was saying about right-wing humorists. It's not fucking funny. There's nothing funny about it. That's their cover for everything. Is it's a joke. You're like, I said some racist shit. It's a joke. Well, these jokes aren't very funny. Where's the punchline? I don't know. Like, I guess throw them in the oven is the punchline. I mean, what the fuck kind of jokes are these? Anyway, even if they were jokes. It's extremely bad taste, which I guess that's okay, but I mean, unless you're running for public office. Anyway, he says that these are young kids who shouldn't have their lives ruined for silly jokes. And here are the names and the ages of the people that were in the chat, right? These are young Republicans, right? Peter Giunta, 31 years old. Joe Maligno, 35 years old. Annie Kekate? I don't know. 28 years old. Alice Dwyer, 29 years old. William Hendricks, 24. Luke Moseyman, 24. Samuel Douglas, 27. Rachel Hope, 27. And the guy who was running the chat was 40. These aren't college kids. These aren't kids at all. 24, I might give the 24-year-olds a pass. But they're also in a chat with people who are older than them. And not one of them was like, hey, man, why are we talking about this? Yes, some of them are older than J.D. Vance, not himself. Well, not these ones, but they said the guy running the chat is like 41. I think he's older than J.D. Vance. But J.D. Vance says they're just kids. They're telling poor jokes, jokes and bad taste. That's what kids do, he says. That's what kids do. Yes, if they're raised by racist Nazi parents who take them to racist Nazi rallies. I said this a decade ago, and people said I was crazy. These people are Nazis, bro. Then this other guy, I don't know if you saw this other guy, he's doing a Zoom chat with Politico or something. He's doing an interview. And on the wall behind him, he's got an American flag that's been altered to have a swastika right in the middle of it. The American flag. No, these aren't Nazis. Oh, the congressman who the guy I work for is from Ohio, of course. So right across the pond here, the river here. Not Nazis. They're not Nazis in any way. That's just a altered swastika American flag on the wall. I mean, why would you think that they're a white supremacist? The gaslight of this entire movement is so ridiculously out of control. It's like, and how we let it get to this point. Yes, Julia, not much different than the judge who didn't want to ruin Brock Turner's future by giving him a harsh sentence for rape. Oh, that's just what kids do, right? They just rape little girls. That's like, you were in high school, right? That's no, that's what these people do. These same people who won't show you the Epstein files. Why you believe that is? For years they said, oh, it's just Democrats in the files. And I want to reiterate this point again one more time, okay? If there's Democrats in the Epstein files, good. Let them out. Let everyone who's involved face the justice they deserve for being criminal, pedophile, pervert fucks. But for some reason, that's not going to happen. Mike Johnson still has not sworn in that woman from Arizona 3 weeks after she was elected. The House is still out of session. Why do you think that is? The government is closed, shut down. Mike Johnson says, oh, we're working hard. How are you working? You're not even in session. To 200 congressional Republicans, they're not even in Washington. They're not even there. It's like, oh, we're working hard to try to fix this. No, you're working hard to cover up for pedophiles, bro. That's what you're doing. They're terrified of Thomas Massie making them vote on the record to protect pedophiles. Because that's what's going to happen. Like I said, he can continue to duck, dodge, weasel, all the things that he wants to do. He's not going to stop. Because I'm telling you right now, Thomas Massie is like the Terminator. He will not stop until his discharge position is put on the floor for a vote. And then Republicans will be forced to choose. Are you going to protect pedophiles or are you going to protect Donald Trump? That's it. And I said, that's why I've said last of it's catch-22. It's putting him in a bad spot. It's like, oh, you want to vote for pedophiles, right? See if I get close enough to that light in front of me, the yellow hue goes away. And then if I lean back, it comes back. It's like a lighting effect. It's like, this is when you know I'm serious about some shit, when I lean up forward into the clear light. Now, here's the point. It's a catch-22 because, like I said, on the one hand, you vote to protect pedophiles and Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is happy, but your constituents are not. Or you vote to release the files, and now you got Trump on your ass. So, see, it's a lose-lose situation for all of them. But they created this situation. Here's the real point and the real problem. Okay, why would you? It's like people that go on like Maury Povich and say that they didn't do all these things, and then they have lie detectors and shit, and then they go, Maury goes, "Oh, the lie detector is proven that was a lie," and it's like, so you knew you were lying. Why'd you go on Maury Povich? The whole thing is ridiculous. And that's what I mean, is like, if you knew that Donald Trump was in these files, if you knew that there were Republicans in these files, why would you use it as a central pillar of your campaign for over a decade? We're going to get into power, we're going to release these files, and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and all these people. Oh, we're going to do this. This is what also shows you that none of these people have any real morals, no real principles, no real soul, really, because Patel and Bongino especially, they made their whole careers off of, we're gonna get these pedophiles, we're gonna find them, we're gonna get to the bottom of this, we're gonna get the files, we're gonna put them out. That's all they ever did. It's all they ever said. Have you noticed that you have not seen Dan Bongino since they've decided to cover up the Epstein files, right? He just kind of went away. They said, that him and Pam Bondi had a big blow up because she made him look stupid, because he said For years and years and years. That's one of the reasons why he took the job as his assistant FBI director, was that he was going to get the Epstein files, he was going to release them to the public. Then they saw the files. Oh my God, Trump is in these files. It's so much. There's something in there they don't want you to see. Here's the real question. If Trump's presidency can be brought down by you seeing what's in the Epstein files, is Trump's presidency really worth saving? You picked a bad dude. He's a bad guy. You picked a bad guy to be your leader. And now you're facing the fucking consequences of it. And you go, well, what's the other thing you could do? Like I said, it's just like I was saying before, it's a cult. No matter what anybody says. That's what a cult does. They go, oh, we can't lose the dear leader. He's a pedophile. Well, we'll just have to look the other way on that. After all the MAGA people, all the QAnon people, all those people, their whole existence was built upon how they're going to hunt down pedophiles. They're going to make them face justice. And then they find out that the guy that they've been following is one of those guys. Oh no. What do you do if you're in a cult? Then you just pretend like that's not the case. This woman today, I swear to God, tried to tell me, well, a libtard judge is holding the files. Like, no. They were holding the files when there was cases going on, but all those cases have been adjudicated. Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison now. There are no Epstein file cases in courts anymore. So therefore, the files are completely eligible to be released to the public. You would never know that, right? And they're trying to eat everything they can to get you to look anywhere but right back at the Epstein file. And it's been pretty effective. I mean, blowing up boats, in Venezuela, sending in the National Guard, shooting tear gas at priests and shit. It's good TV, I suppose, if you like dystopian reality TV. But here's the gig. You wonder why does MAGA even exist, right? Why are there so many people who are willing to go down this path with this fucking felon and convicted rapist? Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, Trump will sue me if I can't say that. I'm sorry, my bad. I retract that statement. I don't want to get Stephanopoulos because I don't have $5 million or whatever they gave him. I'm sorry, a convicted sexual assaulter. Let's say that, right? Because he was convicted of sexual assault, period. And that he still owes that woman millions of dollars. And that judgment was recently upheld still. So, it's not getting out of that. Anyway, you chose to elect this man to be the President of the United States, right? But why would so many people do that? And I've come to a conclusion. It's because it's easier to be a soulless shitbag than it is to be a good person, right? Being a good person requires sacrifice, caring for other people, willing to do things that are selfless. These people are all self-absorbed, soulless people with no moral compass whatsoever, except for hating people who aren't like them. Costello says they're all insane. Well, maybe, but you talk to Trump supporters, they're not all insane. Most of them are just selfish shitbags. Most of the time, if you talk to the casual Trump supporter, right? They only talk about things themselves. They go, well, he's gonna give us no taxes on tips. He's gonna give us. He's gonna give me no tax on Social Security. He's gonna give me all these things that he's never was really gonna give you. He never gave you any of those things. He's lying at all times. No, there's a new thing. He's selling fake Rolexes and they're junk. Yes, deranged is more. They're not crazy. They're selfish shitbags. Almost all of them. Like I said, they only cared about what they could get for themselves. They didn't care about the collateral damage that would happen to other people. They go, I want cheaper eggs, or I want cheaper this, right? But the truth is, they never got any of that, did they? Did you? If you're watching this show right now and you voted for Donald Trump, did you get the things that he promised to give you? And here's why you know that it's a cult, right? Because he did not give those people anything they asked for. He lied to you repeatedly about things that he would do for you. He didn't do any of them. In fact, in some ways, he's done quite the opposite. He's saying, oh, he's going to help farmers. He didn't help farmers. He fucking tanked them. He tanked farmers by putting tariffs on China. It made them stop buying soybeans. And now they're buying soybeans from Brazil and Argentina. Listen to this. You're going to tell me that Trump is an economic genius, right? Or whatever. Some people will say that. Oh, he's a businessman, and therefore he knows about the economy, and he knows how to run it. So he puts tariffs on China, right? Tariffs that cause them to stop buying soybeans from America. They start buying from Brazil and Argentina. Then Argentina's, even though they're selling all their soybeans, the economy collapsed. Why? Because they're using libertarian Trumponomics down there, and those ideas are terrible, and they crash the economy. And that's what's going to happen to us eventually if we keep going down this path. But right now, we still got a big checkbook. So what does he do? He goes, I'm going to give them $20 billion, which he just doubled. Did you know that? He doubled the amount that he was going to give to Argentina. Apparently, $20 billion wasn't enough to bail him out. So he's going to give him $40 billion. Right? So, let's backtrack and get to the full circle of the point. Right? So, Trump puts tariff on China. China stops buying soybeans from the United States. They in turn start buying soybeans from Brazil and Argentina. And they haven't bought any from the United States. Soybean crop sits, rots. Farmers make no money. He has to bail out Argentina with $40 billion. And then he's going to have to also bail out these farmers that he fucked. Unless he just leaves them to starve and rot. Which, that wouldn't surprise me either. And the fact that people will accept this and still say, well, he's the greatest thing that's ever happened to this country. But why? Why is that? And people say they're not racist, really. Why? Well, then why is the fact that he's a failure in almost every other aspect of being the president at the moment, right? But what's he doing? It's good for them. He's getting rid of the brown people. Right? That's the only thing that he's been effective. And he's not even been that effective at that. But it's a big show. And, you know, you see people getting gabbled up and dragged off. So the people who are getting fucked by his economic policies don't care. But they're not racist. See, when you break it down to like the truth that you never hear anybody say on the news, you know, is this is the truth. They don't care if he burns down the economy. They don't care what he does, as long as he gets rid of a lot of brown people. I don't know if you saw this. They're about to change the visa program. Remember this: not white supremacists, not racists, not Nazis. But what are they going to do? They're going to change the visa program to make it more favorable for white, English-speaking people from places like South Africa to come here. And less friendly for anyone else. You know that thing, that bullshit thing that they've always been saying, the great replacement theory, right? About how it's called a theory because it's bullshit. right? It's a big boogeyman conspiracy theory that, again, like, that, oh, they want all these immigrants and they want to change the demographics of the country and they want to replace white people with brown people because they need the votes and, blah, blah, blah. Well, what are they doing now? What is that? To change the visa program to make it more acceptable for Nazis from South Africa to come here and other places while they deport brown people. It's a replacement, right? They want to take out the brown people and replace them with white people who don't like immigrants. And again, once again, I'm right back to where I have been for a while now, that we need to just split this country in two. Let them have their white utopia or whatever it is they're trying to create, because there's at least 150 million people, probably more, who don't want to live in a place like that. This is all about power and control over you. That's it. That's period. That's what it's about. All this. Meanwhile, they still have yet to give one shred of evidence that these people that they've been murdering off the coast of Venezuela are who they say they are. They say, take our word for it. It's like, well, you can't really take your word for anything. You fucking lie constantly. It's like I said before, you give up all your credibility. You don't got any credibility left. Like Trump ever had any. But I'm saying the people around him, they're gotten just as bad. Did you see that yesterday, Kash Patel? Standing in the Oval Office with made up charts about how many people they're arrested, and like, how come the only source of this information is this bullshit chart you got? Where's the statistics? Where's public, real statistics? They used to be available right on the internet. So you can't get that stuff anymore. Why? Because they can't lie to you. If they show you the real information, it's just like the labor report. He didn't like the labor report, so what did he do? He fired the people who put out the labor report, put his own people in. But you know what? It's so fucking bad, even his fucking lackeys can't put it out. Because there's no way to lie about economic data, which will not completely damage the fucking whole world economy, because the world is... See, this is why it's all so dangerous. The world uses the dollar as its default currency. Meanwhile, I don't know if you've been watching this, but the dollar is doing worse than it's done in decades. The value of the dollar is way down, right? And if you start putting out fake economic data, well, the people who are invested in America, they're going to get nervous. They're going to start pulling their money out of America and selling their bonds and shit, which is what's been happening as well. So I'm telling you right now, we're not going to make it another 3 years with these policies before the dollar collapses and the bottom falls out of the U.S. economy. We're already isolated as far as trade goes. And these countries, they're moving on. These countries are making plans for a world without the United States. And Trump is saying, well, we don't need China. We don't need their cooking oil. We can make cooking oil here. It's in the golden age where you can work at the Missoula cooking oil factory. It's all so fucking stupid. And again, there's 100 million people in this country that think this is great. He said, it's just like, the only thing they care about is shitting on liberals and get rid of brown people. They don't know much about anything else. This is why he's able to get away with all this stuff. And anyone who criticizes him, he goes after, or they say that you're lying. It's, you're fake news. The media is very dishonest. Julia says, I just had a coworker tell me a little bit ago that he's investing in crypto because the value of the dollar is in the shitter. Yeah, well, I asked the same thing about the crypto that I would say about the gold. Okay? If the world collapses, the world economy collapses, let's say, and there's civil wars everywhere and it's an apocalypse, where are you going to cash in your fucking crypto? What? It's worthless. It's nothing. It's just like I said about the gold. You have all the gold. What are you going to do with it? You think it's the apocalypse and there's nothing on, right? All economic activity has stopped. You can't go to the store and get anything. The only thing to get anything is either you had it saved up because you were a prepper, or you hunt and gather and you get your own shit, right? So, what are you going to do with this gold? Let's say I kill a deer, right? And I'm processing my deer, right? I'm hanging from a tree and I'm skinning it and I'm about to cut the meat up and process it so I can save it for myself to eat. And here comes a guy out of the woods, like, hey man, he's like starving. He's like, I'm really hungry and I need some of that deer. And I'll give you this Costco gold bar. Right? Fuck your Costco gold bar. It ain't, what the fuck is that gonna do for me? It's worthless. Right now, gold is, I think, $4,000 an ounce. It's highest it's ever been because that's always been a default thing for people, is the gold. And the money used to be backed by gold. That's why money couldn't really collapse, because it was backed by gold. But now that fiat currencies are all over the world, any currency can collapse at any minute. That's what Argentina's, that's what's up with Argentina. That's why we have to give them $40 billion, because, again, libertarian conservative economic policies are garbage. The only reason they haven't tanked this country is because every time a Republican gets into office, they run up the fucking deficit, they crash the fucking dollar, and what happens? A Democrat comes in and they save it. Look at the history of this country. Democratic economic policies work. Now, the rest of the things they do, who knows? But it's been proven over time. Bill Clinton had a balanced budget. I'm pretty sure he's like the only president in quite a long time to actually have a balanced budget. And they bring down the deficit. Then Republicans come in, skyrocket the deficit again. But see, this is why we're in big trouble, because Biden wasn't able to balance the budget or bring down the debt because of the pandemic. That's why inflation was so out of control. See, that this is what people don't get. The inflation that happened during the pandemic was worldwide. It wasn't just here in America. It was everywhere. Because everywhere their economy shut down. Everywhere they had to subsidize their people and send them money. So every country went into debt, right, with spending, giving their citizens money, and also without any income because the economy was stalled. So Trump ran up the biggest deficits of any president before him. Then Biden came in. Well, you would think that he would fix it, but then the pandemic happened. Well, the pandemic was happening at the time. So he started in the hole and inherited Trump's deficits. So they weren't able to fix the deficit like a normal Democrat would have done. Now, if he would have got another term, maybe he could have, but he was 90 years old, and I agreed that he was too old. He was a one-term president, which he said that he changed his mind. I'm going to try to run again. Like, why? There's another guy who's trying to run as a Democratic senator. He's 80 years old. Dude, if you're 80 years old, get the fuck out. That's another reason why we're in this trouble. They need to put age limits on these people. Because otherwise they just sit there till they fucking die. The guys voting like The guy in the menagerie of Star Trek with the fucking buttons. Or like the guy in he's voting like the guy in Breaking Bad. It's like one dingy dingy for for yes, two dingy dingies for no. He can't even talk. He's had a stroke. All right, he's a senator. And that's why we're in this trouble. People want Trump to run for a third term. He's already swelling up his cankles and his hands are all black and blue and like you know. By the time he gets to the third term, he's gonna be 90 years old. Like it's. Meanwhile, they're scared to death of any young people. You see, Mom Donnie is about to win the mayor of New York City election, 1st of November. He's gonna win. They're terrified of it. The Democratic leadership still hasn't endorsed him. Why? Because they're terrified. The truth is, the system is broken. It doesn't work. The whole thing needs to be thrown into the garbage can. And we need to start over with a new system that might work. Because the fact that we keep running these systems that we know don't work. I mean, see, that's what's the sad part about it, is it has worked in the past. Capitalism can work. Just rich people got to pay taxes, and they don't fucking want that. That's the real bottom line. There's about 200 people who don't want to pay taxes. The ironic thing about it is that they spend way more buying politicians and governments so they don't have to pay taxes than they would if they just paid fucking taxes. And like, guy gave $500 million to subsidize J.D. Vance's career so he doesn't have to pay $300 million in taxes. It doesn't make any sense. And that's the truth. You start looking at these PACs that they start, and these contributions that they give. Like, they give hundreds and hundreds of millions. A guy spent hundreds of millions of dollars to start Turning Point USA, right? Gave Charlie Kirk millions and millions and millions of dollars to start Turning Point, right? And people say, oh, Charlie Kirk just started out of nowhere. Like, no. Billionaires, Republican billionaires, gave him the money. Right? But meanwhile, they're spending more money doing this than they would if they just paid some fucking taxes. A lot of people don't know this. In the 1940s and the 1950s, the top tax bracket was like 90%. Did those people go broke? They're still rich, aren't they? These families, these patriarchal families, right? They didn't go broke, right? And what happened? The biggest economic growth in the history of this country, the baby boomer generation, the highest wages, the best, everything. If you look at statistics, America was doing well. Everybody could afford a car. Everybody could afford, a house. Everybody could have children and afford it. People are like, why are you not having children? Because people can't afford it. You can't even fucking feed yourself. You going to the grocery? Pretty expensive. I went the other day. And I was like, wow, I guess I don't pay that much attention because I work in a specialty store and I work in the back. So I don't walk the aisles and look at the prices of things. But man, these prices. Yes, Julia, that's 100% correct. That's what you call. That's a bingo, right? Julia says they don't want to pay taxes because it might benefit the poor brown and black people, the people they love to hate, exactly, and the poor white people, who they also hate. But they need you to think that they care about you, right? What's the one thing y'all got in common? Racism. That's how they get you. Well, he's one of us. He's not one of us. You're not one of them. If you went to their fucking house, they'd fucking have you dragged out by security. I promise. Yeah, I'm here to talk to. Get him out of here. Yeah, but I'm white. They don't care. But the guy was on here earlier say he was in jail. Bet he's white. Right? If you're poor and white, they don't give a fuck about you. But they want you to think that they do. Because that's why they get you to support their fucking policies. They go, oh, those people care more about brown people than they care about you. You know, we care about you. But meanwhile, they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about anybody but themselves. That's it. They're also, you don't get to be that rich. I mean, there are exceptions, right? Like, I don't believe, people like to talk shit about Bill Gates, you know, or whatever, but I don't believe Bill Gates is a bad guy. Bill Gates seems like a regular dude who had a pretty good idea. But what did he do? They claim, again, just like Zuckerberg, that he stole his idea from somebody else. I say, now that might be possible, but either way. And it still goes back to the point that most of the people who become that rich are sociopaths. You know, you got to step on people and stab people and cheat and lie and to you know, to get, you have to be ruthless to climb the ladder and get to where these people are and have that much money. You also have to be selfish, that you want to hoard all this money. Like, why does anyone need $500 billion? You know, like, Elon Musk could feed every homeless person in this country by writing one check, and he'd still be rich as fuck. It wouldn't hurt him one bit. Peter Thiel, same way. Those people, if they got together, they could solve homelessness. If they all just wrote a check and put it all together into one big fund, we're like, here's fucking almost $1 trillion, you know, to tackle homeless and feed people. You see, they don't care about any of that. They, like I said, they're sociopaths. They have no emotions about other people. They only care about themselves. And most of them are narcissists. I mean, there's all kinds of psychological ailments that you can put aside to these people. They're not stellar human beings. Teslas kill people all the time. Does Elon Musk say, I'm sorry about that, and we're going to work to make sure this never happens again? No! He fucking denies it and fights every step of the way. Meanwhile, people are dying. Ace Frehley died. Did they say what he died from? Well, anyway, breaking news. Ace Frehley just passed away. If you don't know who Ace Frehley is, he's the original guitar player for Kiss, but he hasn't played for Kiss for quite a long time. He played for Kiss when Kiss was actually not bad. In the beginning. All the way up until around the Kiss Alive 2 era, I think. And he was a pretty good guitar player, but he was a drunk. He almost killed himself several times. I'm surprised he lived this long. Brain bleed from his fall. See? He fell. Was he drunk? He's always been alcoholic. I mean, I'm not disparaging the guy. I'm just saying he's always had a drinking problem. And drinking thins your blood too. So all around, you know, cascading effect of problems. But anyway, yeah. I must admit that when I was young, I was quite the Kiss fan. Kiss was my very first concert. I was like 7 years old. I begged my parents, please. I begged my mom, please take me to see Kiss, please, please. She did. It was a good concert. But they got increasingly cheesy, self-absorbed, and their music just wasn't very good after like I said, after like the Kiss Alive 2 era. They just weren't good enough to put out as many albums as they did, so it's a lot of repetitive garbage, you know. It's like, it all sounds the same, you know. And then when you listen to it now, you're like, why did I ever think that was so great? It's not that the music, like I said, they distracted you with all the makeup and the show was a pageantry, and that's true. Yeah, you gotta admit, you gotta give the Kiss that the show distracts you from the fact that the music is just average. That's like, he's like, oh, look at all the makeup and the fire, and the Gene Simmons is flying into the air, and he's spitting out blood. And, you're like, this is awesome. And like, meanwhile, they're playing shitty songs about banging 16-year-old girls. That's like, but you don't notice that because you're too busy going, wow, look at all the fucking lights and fire and flames. And I would like to see a like a financial statement to show how much it cost to put on a Kiss show back then. I'm sure it was a lot because they had a lot of shit. Yes, Johnny, it's true. They made a 50-year career off of like 12 songs. that is true. They used to put out these videos. It would just be like Paul Stanley, like laying around a pool with like 50 fucking Playboy bunnies. They're definitely one of the most misogynistic bands of all time. I'd say that. It's like Hairspray and bimbos. That's yeah, that's what you're saying, Julia. Vinnie Vincent. He wasn't in the Vinnie Vincent invasion. Vinnie Vincent was in Kiss for like, I don't know if he made 1 or 2 albums. I know he played on Lick It Up, but I don't know if he played on any other albums. And then they fired him, which they went through guitar. After Ace, they went through guitar players like every 1 or 2 albums. The guy being Kiss, and they make 1 or 2 albums. And oh, he's fired! Anyway, then he had this band called the Vinnie Vincent Invasion. I think they only had 1 album because it wasn't very good. Back in the 80s, all you had to do was have like big hair with Aquanet, holding it up in like a flying V guitar. You can get signed to a record label. If you could do, like, no, sign him up. After Eddie Van Halen, if you could tap your guitar, they were signing up any guitar players. They could do the tap. Anyway, I must say, regardless of if I like them now or not, they were very influential in my life. And yes, pour one out for Ace Frehley. You had to say that Kiss definitely has their place in the zeitgeist of American culture. Which just proves, again, that this country is not very smart. It never was. Slaughter was created, by everyone in the band except for Vinny. They kicked him out and changed the name to Slaughter. Man, you gotta be an asshole to get kicked out of your own band. Like the band has your name on it. Guy's a dick, man. We can't play with him anymore. And same thing. Who was that? Mark Slaughter, right? Called the band Slaughter. What is it? In the 80s, they just named bands after themselves. It's like, what are we going to call this band? Vinnie Vincent Invasion. Okay. And they kick him out. All right, now what are we going to call this band? Well, my name's Mark Slaughter. Let's call it Slaughter. See, none of these people had much imagination. That's what 80s music really lacked. That was imagination and creativity. It's a formula. It's like, put on a bunch of makeup and hairspray and kind of look like chicks and have a shredding guitar player. It was a formula. That's why I like the later 80s bands going into the 90s, like the Cult. The Cult was just a straight up rock band. They didn't have all that. That guy just wore a bandana, and they didn't wear all the fucking hairspray, and he didn't spend they didn't spend a lot of time with the shredding guitar solos. So if you're gonna go that era, those are the bands that I think are better. And even the Cult, they bled into the '90s. I said they were at the tail end of hair metal when it was dying, and so that's why I believe they didn't go the hair metal route by dressing up and all that shit. They were like, well, we need to just kind of look like these other dudes. It wasn't all about image anymore, like grunge fucking destroyed all that, and thank God for it. But grunge took music down into a dark, fucking heroin-soaked fucking pool of vomit and blood, and half of them are dead. Like it had a price, but as far as art goes, it was much better. See, I don't believe, like I said, I've always believed the best art comes from disturbed people, like people who are happy and fat and rich. They're not fucking gonna make good art. Lenny Kravitz is like the exception. Lenny Kravitz's mom was in the Jeffersons, and he comes from Hollywood family. And I'm sure they were rich, which is why he was able to devote all of his time to learn how to play every instrument and not having to work at a car wash or something. But Lenny actually made some art. The music is good. It's not cheesy. It's not, but there aren't many people like him. Most of those kind of people, they suck. Like Adam, or what's his name? Alan Thicke, sorry, Robin Thicke, Alan Thicke's son, right? Son of a famous sitcom actor who also had a late night talk show. Very rich family. Didn't have to work. Right? Could spend all of his time taking singing lessons and all this other shit. And what did he do? Stole his music from Marvin Gaye. Because he doesn't have any real ideas or creativity. now he's a host of The Masked Singer, which is even worse. And that's the other part of America where, like, you can get away with anything and they don't care. Well, I saw that woman, what was her name? Felicity Huffman? The woman who got arrested or got sent to prison because they were running that college scheme. Right? She's got a new TV show. Now, if you are just a regular person, right? Let's say you worked at any place. Let's say you worked at Kroger's. And you got caught for running some felonious scheme and you got sent to prison, right? You think when you come back from that Kroger's going to hire you back? No. They're not going to. They're going to get the fuck out of here. You're a criminal, right? But in Hollywood, they come out of jail and say, hey, you're ready for a TV show again. It's like, there's no consequences for anything these people do. And that's the other part of it. It's just Trump is that on steroids. Trump has never faced consequences for anything he's ever done, and all he's ever done is crooked, dirty shit his entire life. He's always managed to squeeze out of it. Yes, drugs had a big influence on music. Yes, like Bill Hicks said. If you don't believe that, take all your fucking albums, tapes, and burn them. Because all those people made all that great music that enhanced your lives over the years. Real fucking high on drugs. Exactly. They did. Although I found, maybe it's because I'm older and I've been doing music my entire life. I find that I'm writing music now and I'm not on drugs, and I'm kind of better at it now than I ever was. I think it's just because of experience more than when you're young. You go, I need all these drugs to enhance my creativity, and you're probably right. It does open up your mind, And the best thing you can do is turn off your television, stop staring at your phone, Like, get back in touch with being a human being, because that's what technology has done, is separated ourselves from our humanity. That's why he films everything, puts it out, because people like to stare at, oh, look at that. Look at all the ICE people, tear gas and be beating the shit out of them. Look at them blowing up boats in Venezuela. Look at all these things that he's trying to put out there for you to look at, so that you don't pay attention to the fact that they still haven't given you the Epstein file. It's a lot of work to distract you from something we should all agree on. The very fact that we have a political disagreement about pedophiles tells you how broken this country is. It's broken. And I don't see any way to fix it. I'm just here to analyze what's happening. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. The Bengals are playing tonight. Well, woo! Get to watch them lose on national television. It's been a nightmare season. I thought last season was bad. This season was worse, because they won the first 2 games, and you're like, all right, we're going to do something. And it was right off the cliff. As soon as Burrow went down, they're fucking done. Anyway, but the good news is, if they can win tonight, they're still kind of in it. So, got to keep holding on for one more month. Maybe Joe Burrow could come back in December, but even that's iffy. We're rolling with the old man Flacco now, I guess. He's like 50 years old. Tonight, this is true. Tonight, the combined age of the quarterbacks who are playing, because it's Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers, the combined age is like 82. That's no shit. That's a real statistic. They're old. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Again, thank you guys. Thank everyone who watched the show. And thank you to the new people, even the trolls. Like I said, something's going on, because my views are way up even without advertising. So I appreciate that. And like I said, I think we finally cracked the algorithm. So please keep coming back. And I'm Bruce Leonard. I'll be back on Saturday at 6 o'clock. I'm going to go to the No Kings protest before the show, and I might do a live stream from there, or I might just make a film like I did last time and post it on YouTube. So I'll be back Saturday at 6 o'clock and see if Danielle will come. Please, I said again, I love you guys for watching. Thank you. Good night.